I broke my father's fingers one by one. The paramedics found him on the kitchen floor crying and cradling his hand against his chest. 3 of his fingers were bent at angles that made even the EMTs look away. My daughter did this to me, he sobbed as they loaded him onto the stretcher. She just came at me out of nowhere. The police showed up 20 minutes later and I didn't run or hide. Did you do this to him? The officer asked, and I told him yes. They cuffed me right there in my father's living room while he watched from the stretcher with tears streaming down his face. I don't know what I did to deserve this, he said to anyone who would listen. I'm 73 years old, and I don't understand why she would hurt me like this. Adult Protective Services opened an investigation within 24 hours. My brother flew in from the West Coast and showed up at the jail with my sister beside him. You broke an old man's fingers, my brother said through the glass. Our father who raised us and walked you down the aisle at your wedding. I tried to explain that there was more to the story, but he slammed his hand against the partition. There is nothing you can say to make this better, he screamed. You're sick, and I hope they put you away forever. My sister just stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Mom is devastated, she said quietly. She keeps asking what she did wrong to raise someone capable of this. My mother wouldn't come to the jail at all. My father gave a statement from his hospital bed saying I had always struggled with anger and that he'd spent years walking on eggshells around me. I've always been scared of my own child, he told them. I don't know why she has so much anger in her. My lawyer came to see me with a grim expression. Elder abuse carries serious time, she said. Right now it's his word against yours, and his word comes with 3 broken bones. I told her I needed her to go back to his house and look at his laptop computer. Just look at it, I said. That's the only reason I did what I did, and I need someone to believe me enough to check. She stared at me for a long moment, and I watched something shift behind her eyes. She could have walked away right there and taken the easy plea deal, but she nodded slowly and said she would try to get a forensic team out to the house. A few days later she came back and her hands were trembling so badly she could barely hold her folders. The forensic team went through his computer, she said, and her voice cracked on every word. They found thousands of files. She couldn't even finish her sentence, so I finished it for her. Children, I said. He had pictures and videos of children being hurt. She nodded and wiped her eyes. You walked in on him that night, didn't you? I told her yes. I told her I came over to drop off his medicine and his front door was unlocked, so I let myself in. I walked into his office and saw what was on his screen and my whole body froze. He saw me standing there and he lunged for the laptop. I said he was going to destroy all of the evidence. My lawyer asked what happened next. I grabbed his hand and I bent his fingers back one by one until I felt them snap. I said, I listened to my own father scream while I broke his bones because that was the only way to stop him. I need you to understand that I would do it again right now without hesitating for 1 second. She told me my father had been arrested that morning at the hospital. She told me investigators had already identified some of the children and their families were finally getting answers. You didn't just save the evidence, she said quietly. You gave closure to parents who spent years not knowing what happened to their kids. My father is serving 15 years in prison and I have not spoken to him since that night. My mother knows exactly what her husband did and she still drives 4 hours every Sunday to visit him behind bars. She still chose him even after she saw the files.